Hi, and welcome to The Capsule Life, a show for the most casual and dedicated fans of comics and a member of the Comic Watch family. I'm your host, Sean. Join me and discover what the world of comics and graphic novels have to offer. From one-on-one interviews with industry professionals, roundtable discussions with passionate fans, and reviews on the latest comics, TV shows, and movies. Now let's dive right on in. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, thanks for checking us out. And if you're a returning listener, thanks for coming back. As you may know, I absolutely love Christmas and the holidays and everything about it. It's my favorite holiday of the year, and I always love going all out for it and discussing anything about it. Now that we've been celebrating the holiday for a while, with Christmas coming up shortly, I thought this would be a great time to talk about favorite and not so favorite things about this holiday. And just like the holidays, it's not real unless you are fighting someone about it. So I invited some longtime friends of mine from the Paperweight Entertainment Podcast to discuss/fight about some of these common holiday topics. So please welcome to the show, Derek Hoskins and Ian Torrance. Derek is the co-founder of Paperweight Entertainment, along with Ian Torrance and Colonel Bob Tingle. He is the co-host of the Paperweight Entertainment Podcast, a lifelong fan of comic books and comic-related media, and a firm believer that, in the words of Qui-Gon Jinn, your focus determines your reality. And Ian Torrance is the co-host of Paperweight Entertainment, Silver Screen Scoundrels, and the Horror You Know podcast. He is a big Batman fan, as well as a DC fan in general. He grew up watching animated shows like Batman, Spider-Man, and the X-Men, which really helped him with getting into comics and comics-related video games. Derek and Ian, welcome to the show.
How's it going, man? Thanks for having us.
Thank you for that amazing intro, Sean. That was awesome.
It was so much better than anything Ian's used to hearing.
I wasn't going to say it out loud. That's including my intro. So
yeah. Well, I get a lot of people that said that they feel like the intro is like really good, and honestly, it's all what you guys really. I'm just saying it out loud, but I'm sure Ian, you like feeling the fact that you're probably not getting knocked down in a podcast show like you usually do.
Not yet. We just started, sir. We've been here for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Still plenty of time for me to get rolled over.
Well, and this is going to be interesting because, we were talking about this before we started recording. Both of you are feeling, kind of, a little bit sick right now and just not feeling well right now. My trackpad on my computer is starting to spaz out. So this might be just like a hysterical holiday movie where like everything that could go wrong is going wrong. And this will probably be the most entertaining episode that we'll ever have. So, well, let's get started. And I like to ask all of our guests that come on the show the same question. And Derek, we'll start with you. And the question is, what is your comic book origin story? What was it that got you into it? Was it an event? Was it a person? Was it just a random, you picked it up one day and absolutely fell in love with it? What is it that got you into comics?
So what got me into comics, like a lot of people of my age, I was born in the mid 80s, and is the cartoons that we had growing up in the late 80s, early 90s. My stutter's coming
so
out.
I wasn't laughing at
Not
you.
feeling well.
I was laughing at you saying, like a lot of people my age, I was born in the mid 80s. Like,
okay, we established
that's how
that I'm not
works.
feeling well.
Okay.
Ian's getting feisty. We're not on our show. All right.
I'm sorry. It made me laugh.
Like a lot of people that were born in the 80s, I grew up on 90s cartoons, and those cartoons being the Ninja Turtles, Iron Man is the big one, Captain America, Batman the animated series, Spider-Man the animated series. Those are the ones I was trying to say. But the biggest one for me was Iron Man. For anybody that's watching the video here, you can see a lot of Iron Man behind me. He is my favorite superhero of all time and has been since I saw the first episode of Iron Man, the animated series, when I was 9 years old. So for me, because anybody that listens to our show knows that we're in a really small town, we did not have a comic book shop growing up. None of my family were into comics in any way, shape, or form, not even collecting, trading cards, nothing like that. So my entry was 100% from the TV shows and then the toys that came from those TV shows. I'm a big toy guy. And that was really what did it. And then I didn't start actually getting into comic books proper until I was in high school, because I had to get my own money to set up a direct to individual subscription through Marvel to get Iron Man and Ultimate Spider-Man. Those were the first two subscriptions that I had. Excuse me. So yeah, mostly the cartoons from the 90s is what did it, and then I was kind of hooked ever since.
How about you, Ian?
It's very similar to Derek. Like Derek, I was born in the mid '80s, so we'd be around the same age. So I grew up watching pretty much what he named it. Not a lot of Iron Man, because there was only like a few seasons of that, which I guess technically Batman the Animated Series was huge for me, and then going into like the new adventures of Batman. But yeah, Derek's right. We didn't have a comic book store around here. You would get very lucky, and every now and again, when you'd go to Walmart, they'd have this little like 3-pack of comics, and it would just be random comics like thrown in a 3-pack that they would just throw out there. So I would get a few of those kind of growing up, or like if we went out of town somewhere, like to the mall or something, there'd be some random comics. And I like I said, my experience was watching the cartoons. Like Derek, it was a Batman the Animated Series. I did watch the Iron Man and the animated Hulk series, but my main shows were Batman, the Spider-Man the Animated Series, and X-Men the Animated Series. Those are the ones I would watch religiously. I back then I actually liked the Fantastic Four show, but now it is hot garbage. I can't go back and watch that cartoon. It did not age well at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much. And then the toys. I had a lot of the, which I still have some, but they're in pretty rough shape. I wish I would have like kept them pristine. But I had a lot of the. Do you guys remember the Batman the Animated Series, the Kenner series of all those toys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those are my favorite, and I just thought it was so funny because I watched that cartoon religiously. I still watch it to this day, and there was like 14 different versions of Batman. It was like the ninjutsu version, the armored truck version, and all these things. I'm like, none of these are in the cartoon, so I don't know where any of this shit is coming from.
Yeah,
but I had them, and they were cool, the really cool toys. And to this day, like I said, I still get into that, and I kind of reminisce on my childhood of like all those awesome toys. And as you can see, I've got some stuff in the background I started collecting because of there's this this wrestler that I randomly started following. I don't know how familiar you guys are with wrestling, but AEW has a guy named Danhausen.
Okay.
Danhausen is a huge toy collector. And then I started talking to Derek about it. And then Derek, of course, collects toys. I don't know if you can notice back there. So he kind of got me into the toy collecting too. So yeah, if I didn't start when I was very young, watching these shows and collecting all these awesome toys, I don't know if I would be the man I am today. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, and I gotta say, I remember those toys that you're talking about with the different Batman armor suits and everything. And I remember thinking, oh, I must have just not watched the episode where they had this in it, and that'd be really cool to see. Yeah. I think a lot of people were disappointed by that. So, well, thank you both for sharing your comic book origin story. So let's go ahead and dive right into the theme of this episode, which is Battle of the Holidays, where we take a few holiday-related topics and discuss them. And some of these are a little controversial as well. And before we get started, I want to share a couple things. That one, some of these questions are coming from a BuzzFeed article called Let's Fight About Christmas, which I'll link in the show notes. And the second thing is I did send out a survey asking people their thoughts about some of these same questions as well. The problem is I've been so busy that I completely forgot to send it out until 45 minutes earlier. So right now we only have 2 people that responded, but I want to give them a shout out for doing this at the last minute. And that is Darth Eakins, which it's Darth _ EAKINS. You can find him on TikTok. And the other person who responded is, I think, Matt from Hopsgeek News. And you can find him on Twitter as well, too. So thank you both for submitting the survey. Let's jump into the first question. And Ian, I'm going to ask you this first. What is your favorite holiday memory growing up?
Back when I didn't hate Christmas and I was just a small child, I had
so this is a good setup right now. So you tell me you hate Christmas? Is that it?
yeah. I don't know if you knew that, but I actually loathe, despise Christmas.
Oh my gosh! I probably should have.
It's terrible.
I vetted you a little bit.
That's why I didn't tell you. This is where I get to speak my piece. Let me tell you why I don't like Christmas. I go on a 20-minute rant. No, I didn't know if you knew that or not. Actually, I hate this holiday.
Oh my gosh!
However,
I'm sorry.
I do like it's weird because like I like some movies, but I think it's because like I grew up watching these movies that we're gonna get into here in a little bit, I believe. But favorite holiday memory for me was again, it's a Batman animated series related one. I got the Batman the Animated Series Batmobile, which is one of my favorite Batmobiles. I got that toy for Christmas.
Awesome.
And it was heartbreaking because I got it and it was defective. It was broke. So we had to like return it. Yeah. And I was just heartbroken. And my mom and dad were like, "We're getting you another one. It's okay." And I'm like, "I need it now." And I don't know if you guys remember, but it's the one like you can actually open the top and put somebody in it, and then the back like pops out and it has these wings that fly off or plop off of it. So that's one of my favorite memories, having that thing, because I love that thing and I played with it all the time. And I wish I still had it.
Yeah, I love
it. It was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and everything about the animated series is just like so cool because you can never tell if it's like supposed to take place in the past or the future, but it was just the design was so slick, and that Batmobile is just so iconic. But now that you brought that up, I remember having that same one too, and I completely forgot about that. I love that.
I've looked into it recently, like on eBay and stuff, and there, I mean, you can still get one in the box, but you're talking $400 or $500 bare minimum.
Oh, easily, yeah, I'm sure, no kidding,
worth it. But
yeah, I know. Oh, and whoever still has those and selling those now, they were smart to do that. Like I wish, we would have thought of that when we were kids.
That's what I'm saying. But I would have never have had the self-control to be like, I'm just going to leave this box for 30 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And you all thought I was crazy, huh? Look at that. I bought it for $15.
How about you, Derek?
I have two, and I waffled back and forth, and I'll leave the one that ends up a sad story for another time. Okay. So we'll do the happy one. It was a happy story, but it just circumstances surrounding it afterwards. After the re-release of Star Wars, the special editions came out. That I love Star Wars since I was a little kid, but that was when I actually I got to go to the theater and watch Star Wars for the first time, because we were in that weird period where there was no prequels yet, and so I went and saw all the Star Wars movies in theater in the theaters those years, that 2 years that those came out, or 1 year, whatever it was. And that Christmas, my grandparents were really, really pretty well off, and I got really lucky that if there was a toy line related to a movie that was coming out like around a holiday or my birthday, they would get a lot of it and give it to me. So I got in one Christmas that all those came out, I got the full-size Millennium Falcon, I got an X-Wing,
nice. Yeah,
I got Luke, Leia, Vader, the Emperor, Yoda, Han, the Stormtrooper Luke and Han, a Micro Machines Millennium Falcon, which was amazing. If you've never seen it, do yourself a favor and Google the 90s like Power of the Force era Millennium Falcon Micro Machines. It was so cool. It came with little Minox, and all the little things would open up, and it was just really, really cool. But yeah, so for that one Christmas, I got almost an entire collection of Star Wars toys that I then threw away when I was 18 years old because I'm an idiot. But that
seemed like a good idea at the time, doesn't it?
That's not the sad story, although it is related to the other one. But yeah, so that was my that was the one that always stands out to me, because as a huge Star Wars nerd, all of a sudden I had everything I could ever want to play with just at my finger. It was amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's, talking about you getting rid of your toys when you're 18, I think when we were growing up, we didn't really know a lot of adults that still had those classic toys, or even, it was even a thing for people to do in terms of like collecting. Like, I know people collected them, but they were more like hardcore collectors, or people who were investing, to sell them off for like museums, or, major collectors have money and things like that. And now it's become a little bit more acceptable for people to collect those toys and have them, and people don't really look at them as weird people for having those things. That's such a older age and everything. And so I think when you look around when we were growing up, we just didn't have that sort of experience or that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? That social norm that,
Right.
having toys beyond a certain age was fine because it was kind of seen differently or anything like that. It was just more of, if you were still this age and you still had toys, people will start, making fun of you or, start looking at you weird and all that. So,
Yeah.
Right. And I
Yeah.
will say that even though I got rid of all those it was the biggest mistake that I'd made. Like for years, I beat myself up about that. Immediately after I got rid of them, I felt awful. And I made a video about this, I think last May the 4th on TikTok, that my wife's grandfather, who's passed away since, about a year before he passed away, said, "Hey, go down to the barn and go up in the loft. There's a couple of tubs up there I want you to bring down."
Right.
And so I went up, and there were 3 tubs full of that Power of the Force 2 line of Star Wars toys, and refilled in the package still, and refilled almost my entire collection, plus some things that I never had.
No kidding.
So a man that arguably didn't like me ever, because he was not my biggest fan, actually did like one of the nicest things that anyone's ever done for me. So it was pretty crazy.
Nice.
And he collected those when they came out. He would go, he traveled from town. He was a Marine, he was a fire marshal, and so whenever he was traveling, he would buy things that were on sale.
Right.
And if it was something that was big, and so he happened to have this giant collection, not knowing at all that he would, I mean, we're talking, he did that when those were coming out. So a good, 10 years before my wife and I even started dating.
Oh yeah.
And so it was a wild, incredible twist of fate.
Oh, that's cool. That's a great story. Well, I
Hey,
know.
Thanks.
Yeah. I know for me, this is kind of a double ender in terms of my favorite moments or holiday memories growing up. Is one is my family and I would always get a live Christmas tree to put in our house. I don't know if you all growing up or still now get a live tree or not. Do you?
We always did growing up. I don't now, because it's just the hassle of all the kids and everything. It's just a lot simpler. I don't have a lot of time during the holidays, so we unfortunately do the fake tree. And I'm sure Ian takes time to decorate a tree during Christmas, don't you?
Not even in the slightest. When I was a kid growing up, the first like 11, 12 years of my life, we lived on a 350-acre farmhouse. So we would like go out and cut down a tree usually.
Right. Yeah.
And if we couldn't, they always made sure like we had a live tree. And then after that, it was usually a fake tree for the rest of my life that I actually celebrated Christmas, which I haven't really. I've lived alone for the past 6-7 years now, and I don't think I've ever had a tree in that 6-7 years that I can remember.
Gotcha.
When I was married, she always put the tree up, and I would help, but it was just like, why are we doing this?
Right. Gotcha.
This is a lot of work to take down.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the hassle, especially when it's almost a month and then you have to take it down and all that. I think that's why people are celebrating it earlier than Thanksgiving, and so they kind of justify being able to have it up longer, not have to take it down so quickly and everything. So
yeah, and I think if I had kids, it'd be different. I think if I had kids, I would definitely do it for my kids if that's what they wanted to do.
Right.
Because even though like I don't fully believe in what Christmas is about and how we go about celebrating it, I still wouldn't want, personally, this isn't a knock on anybody that does this, but me personally, I wouldn't want to deprive my kids of that when they go to other people's houses and friends' houses or even like school or whatever and see all this and think like, whoa, that's all cool. Why can't I do that?
Right.
Just because their dad is a Scrooge.
Right. Well, at least, I mean, honestly, the fact that you're willing to do that though tells me you're not a Scrooge, like
well,
not that level. Yeah. So
yeah, no, I would definitely look at it from a different perspective if I was in an alternate situation.
Right. Yeah. So me growing up, I always got a live tree, and we did that all the way through when my wife and I got married, and then we did the I think we did the live tree for a while, and then now, just like you did, we got an artificial tree that we put up, which I absolutely as much as I love live trees, I prefer that just for a number of reasons. The biggest reason is that it's cheaper that way. Like, getting a Christmas tree can, easily be at minimum $50. And so if you get a artificial tree, you pretty much got your money's worth after, 2 or 3 years, depending on what kind you get. But I absolutely love
those things get expensive.
They do. Yeah. Yeah. Especially, depending on what kind you get and everything. But that was one of my favorite things of growing up for Christmas is going out and getting the tree at a tree farm and then putting up the tree and decorating it. And then the other thing I always enjoyed, I always remember Christmas Eve, I would go to my grandparents' house with all my cousins, Christmas Eve evening after we went to mass with my mom's side of the family. And then on Christmas Day, we went with my dad's side of the family. So those are my favorite memories growing up. I was going to share what our people who submitted their responses had said, but as I mentioned before, my trackpad is now in the middle of dying on me and is not moving, so I can't even see what they have shared. So once the trackpad starts working again, I will open it up and kind of disrupt the whole episode and share it real quick. But in the meantime, we'll have to go to our next question, which I got to look up on my phone now because again, my trackpad's not working, so I got to figure out. Oh, okay. So the next question is, and we kind of talked about this a little bit. So if you're just like, yeah, we answered this, it's not different than the other one, let me know. But your favorite holiday present when you were a kid? I mean, is it pretty much just what you would?
I would say for me would probably be the same. I mean, I don't, but that's the thing. Like, I had so many cool toys in my mind growing up that I don't remember if they were Christmas presents or not, if they were just birthday or just because I was an awesome child. That last part was sarcasm for those of you that couldn't pick up on that. I had this really, and I can't remember when I got it, but I had this my other favorite toy was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series. They had the techno drone on there. I had a real life, like, big techno drone that opened up and you can put stuff in. And I might have stolen it from my brother. I don't remember who it belonged to. We were 3 years apart, so whatever I had, he took, and whatever he had, I wasn't allowed to play with. But it would be like one of those situations that that back then you knew who owned what and who had what, but like now, I've got a box in the other room full of old toys. And again, it's not even half of what we had. But now I'll take them out and be like, I don't even remember if this was mine or his at this point. But yeah, I had a lot of cool toys, so I don't remember. But if I did get that at Christmas, that would be my runner up to my Batmobile.
No kidding. I didn't have the Technodrome, but I had the Ninja Turtle van.
I had the van too. That van was awesome.
Yeah, that would kick out to the side. You had the little action figure that would do that.
Yeah. That would shot the pizzas, right? Like the discs of pizza.
Yes. Oh, gosh, from the front and everything. Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
I love that thing. I don't think that was a Christmas present for me, but I did have that. I don't remember when I got it. I had so many Ninja Turtle toys. It was hard to remember when I got them all. But I will say that I'll throw in another Christmas present, and it was actually a stocking stuffer, which I can't remember if it's on the list of stocking stuffers. But every year when I was a kid, we used to get this little book, and it wasn't an actual book; it was a little cardboard book, and it was just full of 10 rolls of lifesavers, like old school lifesavers that were still the hard candy that came in the little roll. And chubby little me looked forward to that every single year. I knew it would be in my stocking. I always got excited about it, and I ate through at least 3 or 4 of those rolls of lifesavers before we even got to dinner.
That's great. I just think it's funny that all year long your parents didn't get you lifesavers.
It wasn't that I couldn't have lifesavers all year long. It was that it came in a little, literally, it was a box.
It's like a little book, wasn't it?
It looked like a book that would open.
I know what you're talking about. I used to get those too.
Oh, I love them. And there were different kinds and different flavors. They were the best.
Stuck to it, right?
Yes.
The rolls were actually stuck to it. You'd have to,
Oh man, I loved it. It was my favorite. Look, I'm a large man. I'm a big guy, and I like candy. So I look forward.
Nobody's scrapping on you for liking candy.
No, not at all. Well, especially holidays. Like, you're allowed to do that, Like, everybody loves the food and holiday candy. I'm a sucker for anything that's holiday related. My wife would joke around and say that if anybody just made anything that they usually make, and just slapped the word Christmas on it, I would buy it and eat it because just the fact that it said Christmas on it. So I totally get that.
Well, Derek, was it just the lifesaver? Sorry, Sean. I mean,
no. Go ahead. That's fine. Yeah.
Was it just the lifesavers, or did you get the the assorted candy canes too that were different? Like they were like holiday flavors. I say holiday flavor, but they'd be like strawberry, cherry.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We would get the assorted candy canes, but I didn't care about them. I was all about the lifesavers.
Yeah.
I was like a little gremlin over in the corner of the living room, sitting by the fireplace.
Which would you take, Joanna's?
No. Oh my gosh. My older sister, even though she is almost a foot shorter than me, would have broken my fingers if I tried to take her lifesavers. We didn't play around with that. She'd be sitting right next to me, and we would be like a wood chipper, just double fisting like sleeves of lifesavers.
I just need one more hit. Just one more. Just give me another sleeve.
Just in a like a sugar coma by
they were good. They were good lifesavers. Like I have this conversation all the time with people about like not just like candy from my childhood all the time. And I've started to see like lifesaver, like the cream savers come back recently.
Oh yeah, cream
savers. Oh my god, I can eat a whole bag of that one sitting. That's not an accomplishment, and I'm not trying to brag. But I just think about that all the time. Like they had like there was a picture on Facebook the other day. Do you guys remember the Santa Claus suckers? They were red, and then the white face was painted.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like the way the human brain works, at least mine, it's not up to par in my opinion to what it should be. Is you forget about all that until you see like pictures. You're like, oh wait, I forgot all about that. I forgot I used to eat those by the bushel.
Right. Oh yeah. For me, growing up, there was one year where I got, just this great present. I always got great presents from my parents, but there was one that I really enjoyed. And that was when I went through this era of like, I was just so obsessed with the movies Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Mm-hmm. So I got the Talk Boy.
I was going to say, please tell me you got the Talk Boy.
But that was the coolest thing ever.
I know. And what's interesting, though, is that the one I got wasn't exactly the same one that they used in the movie because you know how Kevin McAllister used it to slow down his voice to make it sound like he's an adult? Mm-hmm. Mine didn't have that.
Really? And I had one that did have that. It didn't sound nearly as good as in the movie. There
must have been like different versions that they had or something because mine did not have slow. It was just, I think off on recording mode, basically. Mm-hmm. And then I remember asking my dad, I was like, I can't figure out like how to do slow-mo because there's not a setting on it or anything. And then my dad, who, when you're a kid, like your parents always know everything and all that. And my dad, like to his credit, he does know a lot about a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to, technology, at least at that time. I'm helping him with all his technology stuff now, but technology, cars, anything, mechanical, all that, like he knows pretty much everything about it. By the time, like, I don't think he knew, but he was like, I'm going to try to figure this out. So his solution was when you hit record, like press down on the tape really hard on the outside. So that way it slows down the spinning of it. I tried that. And it never worked.
She's the system, right? Hack the credit card. You got it.
Yeah. But I used that thing for like 3 or 4 years just to record stuff. It was just so much fun. And then the other present I got that same year was I got the Home Alone book bag. Did you two ever remember that?
No, I don't know the Home Alone book bag.
So it's the same one that he used in Home Alone 2 that has like that tan look that has like a little flap that with the straps and everything like that.
Yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's that same bag, but it has like Home Alone 2 on it. And the really cool thing about this was that if you turn on the system that's inside, like if someone opens it with that thing on, it like lets out a loud Kevin McAllister scream as its alarm system, basically. So it was a lot of fun just to play around with that and just like unbuckle it and just hear it scream. So like no one ever took my stuff. I'm just like unbuckling and putting it back in. And
I never knew that was a thing. I never knew that was an actual product that was sold.
I was the only person I knew that had it, to be honest. My guess is there's only a handful of people that actually bought that. So, well, real quick, I'm going to attempt on my phone to get the answers that Darth Eakins and Hopsgeeks News submitted. So let's go back to the first question about the favorite holiday memory growing up. Darth Eakins said seeing Santa. and he said his favorite holiday present growing up was getting his Nintendo Entertainment System, which
NES
solid,
great.
yes.
solid.
I think no one can argue with that, right? And then Hopsgeeks News said their favorite memory growing up was the family get together at their house every year. And his favorite holiday present growing up was PlayStation 2.
Nice.
I mean,
Another solid
Another
choice.
one.
It is. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like, gaming systems don't cost as much as they, do now, but they were expensive back then.
They were very expensive.
As they are now. And so that was probably the big gift of the year that a kid could get. And so everybody remembers that when they got that for their Christmas present.
And they were also really hard to come across too.
Yeah, two is where the
PlayStation 2 was really hard to come across.
I now that you mentioned, I do remember getting a PS1 for Christmas.
Yeah,
we got a Sega Genesis for Christmas. My sister and I did. Yeah. But with the scarcity of video game consoles back in the 90s and early 2000s, you just had to know a guy. That was how I'll never forget. I remember my dad picking me up, and this is a sidetrack. I apologize, but I'm already here now, so here we go. I remember my dad like getting me and throwing me in his truck, and I was 4, maybe 5 years old. I think I was 5, and I was like, "Where are we going?" And he goes, "Don't worry about it." And so we went on like some country road.
Sounds like you were being kidnapped, Derek.
Someone's house.
So this was your father.
He found somebody that had an NES for sale, and so we bought it from some dude like in a shack out in the middle of nowhere. And then one day he came home from work with a PlayStation 2 when they came out. I was like, "Where did you get this?" He said, "I bought it out of a guy's trunk." I was like, "I think this is stolen. What are you doing, man?"
Well, I had to go down by the railroad tracks. I had to go to a back alley. There was a man standing over a barrel of fire.
I was like, "Where did you get this?" He said, "Oh, a guy at work. He had it in his trunk." Did he have a lot of them? Yeah, he had a couple. He said, "What? I can't buy them in store."
Yeah, I see. We had Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and PlayStation. I don't know if we ever got it as a Christmas present though. I feel like I would remember that, but maybe one of my brothers got it and it would just end up being a family thing or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, I mean those are always huge presents. So yeah. Moving on, favorite holiday movies. Derek, I'll kick it off to you. What's your favorite holiday movie?
Number 1 is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I have already watched that movie 4 times this month, and I will probably watch it at least one more time. Runner up. Fred Claus, surprisingly enough, and maybe Elf, because Elf and Fred Claus both make me sob and weep uncontrollably because I'm a big crier and they're very sentimental at the end. Right. But Christmas Vacation's a classic. Ian and I have been quoting that movie for the last 20 years. Like just it doesn't have to be Christmas time.
And not even Christmas time, yeah.
Just random times throughout the year. Surprise, Clark.
The gift that keeps on giving.
But yeah,
if I woke up in the morning with my head stapled to the carpet, I couldn't be more surprised than I am right now.
But yeah, I love Christmas Vacation. I think that it is I won't say underrated because people like it a lot, but I did a video for why I think it's the best, and people forget that it's got a lot of heart to it. Like it's got a lot of laugh out loud moments, but it's a really good story, and a story of a man just trying his best to give his family the Christmas that he thinks they deserve.
Right.
And I love it. I love that movie.
I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of Christmas Vacation.
All right. Well, I'll see you later.
Yeah. Not that I hate it by any means.
Right.
It just if I went through a Christmas not watching it, I would be okay with it. We watched it last night because every year our friends would get together and do like an all-day Christmas movie marathon, and that's always one that everybody watches. I remember, I think that was probably the one movie where I was probably on my phone a lot just because it just didn't hold interest for me. I don't know if part of it's just like I've never really been a huge fan of Chevy Chase, or there's just a lot of just I guess weird moments for me or whatever that I'm not sure, but it's just it like I said, I don't hate it. Like there's definitely, like what you said, some really good sentimental parts. There's actually some really good cinematography and really interesting ways that they filmed it and stuff like that. It's just not been one of the ones I've been interested in. The other one you mentioned, Fred Claus, I remember I tried watching it once. I fell asleep. You're muted, just so you know.
Sorry, I muted myself to cough. I thought I unmuted myself. It's good. I would recommend trying it out again. It was one that I didn't expect to be any good, but I'm a big Vince Vaughn fan. and it's a little weird watching it now because Kevin Spacey's kind of the villain in it, kind of like he is in real life. So
I was gonna say,
a little off, but I would recommend it if anybody hasn't seen it. I'd give it a shot.
Okay. Ian, what about you?
Christmas Vacation is in my top. A few, which is weird for a man that hates Christmas, but I grew up watching that. Jingle All the Way is actually in my top. Obviously, I watched Home Alone 1 and 2. I wish they would have made more after that, but they didn't. They stopped at 1 and 2. And that is a little known fact, actually. There's a common misconception. There's like 5 of them.
The Mandela effect, right? Like,
right? Yeah. It's crazy. Do not Google to see if this is true. So Jingle All the Way is up there. I actually have one that I've been watching the past like 4 or 5 years now, and it's actually it's a horror comedy Christmas movie, and it's called Better Watch Out.
Oh, nice. I am not a fan of holiday horror movies, so I will
not a fan at all. Like Krampus, nothing like that at all.
Nothing. The only exception, which, and I'm sure we'll probably talk about this now since I bring it up, is, and it's not horror, and I think you actually said this in your show. I listened to you guys' podcast about this movie, Violent Night.
Yeah,
it's an action holiday movie.
Right.
I know some people described it as kind of horror. I didn't think it was horror at all. But it's definitely like a gory, it's a Die Hard movie, but Santa Claus is the star instead of Bruce Willis, and so so I would say, like, if someone classifies as that, like I'm okay with that, but generally speaking, I am not a fan of Christmas horror movies. No. So
I don't mind them. I think they're decent. This one was just like there was a lot going on. It's up there for me, but my top 2 are Christmas Vacation, Jingle All the Way. I this is another thing that you may not know. Well, if you listen to our show, you may have heard me say over and over, Christmas Story is an abomination to me. I do not like that movie at all. I hated the fact that it was on every year. We would always meet every year. We met at my grandma's, growing up and until I was a young adult. And every year she would have the Christmas movies on, and that movie always played. I'm like, there's other movies on. Can we switch the channel? Like,
see that?
I don't care how many times we watch Miracle on 34th Street. Let's watch it again.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have to watch Christmas Story.
So it's not my favorite movie, but it's my family's favorite movie. We watched it growing up and everything. Christmas Story. We went to the Christmas Story Museum when it opened up in Cleveland.
Oh,
like,
wow.
our family is like really into it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so sorry I shit on your favorite movie.
This is why it's called Battle
kidding.
of the Holidays.
It was my dad's favorite. We watched it every single year. I still love Christmas Story, but we did watch it. We were the ones that had it on. We would go to my grandma's house as well, and she had a TV in the living room, a TV in the kitchen, and a TV in the family room. And also, I think a TV like in the back of the house somewhere, and all 4 of them were playing a Christmas Story.
Did she have one in that that little off dining room area over there where you step down?
No, it was the TV in the kitchen was on a little swivel, and so it would.
Well, I remember,
go back and forth.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So you could turn it whichever way you wanted to, but either way, they were always on the same channel. But there was always a little bit of a different delay, so you would hear from one room to the other the same line be repeated like 3 times. It was So I don't watch it as often now because of that, but I still enjoy it.
Yeah. And like I said, it's a family favorite. It's one of those things, again, like if I don't watch it, I would probably be okay with it just because I watched it so much growing up. But it was definitely a family staple growing up. Like, we had it on the 24 hours TNT channel, Christmas Eve all the way through Christmas Day. And my mom thought it would be really great to go, on Christmas Day and have dinner at a Chinese restaurant like they did in Christmas Story. And I think she was expecting it to be exactly like that.
Smiling at me.
Yeah. My favorite movies for the holidays, I'm going to say there's 2 that's tied, and there's one that's creeping up there right now. My 2 favorite are Elf and A Muppet's Christmas Carol.
God, I love A Muppet's Christmas Carol.
Yes. And Muppet's Christmas Carol has a lot of nostalgia for me because I actually remember seeing that when I was a kid in theaters, and I went with my cousins who I, did a lot of things with my cousins all the time because we were close in age and we lived pretty close to each other. And so I love going to movies with them. And I remember vividly that I saw that movie with them at the movie theater that we go to all the time. It was just ended up being my favorite holiday movie ever. So those two are tied. But one that's starting to creep up there that there might be a three-way tie is the new movie that came out on Apple TV called Spirited with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell.
I still haven't watched it.
Yeah, neither one of us have Apple TV. We're gonna have to do the free trial and actually sit down and watch it because I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah. I never watched Polar Express.
Oh, that's okay.
You're good.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you two are the only two people that have ever given me a pass for that. Usually, everybody's like, "Oh, that's the greatest movie of all time."
Got a great soundtrack. Music's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
Yeah,
Just got a good Josh Groban song.
Well, I don't feel so bad now.
That's the one where the book is definitely much better than the film. It's just
except for the goose stepping elves. That was a little weird at the end of that book.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, even then, it's like the movie got it got drawn out a lot from just to kind of make it a film, and I think it's just because of who got involved with it and everything like that. That's why it was the way it was. It was okay. It's just I don't think it was as great as everybody thinks it is. And I think part of it was just that hype because the book was so good that they thought the movie was good, So
Derek, did you say Josh Groban did the soundtrack?
He did the big marquee song, the Believe is what it's called.
Did I ever tell you my Christmas Josh Groban story when I worked at Walmart?
I want to know now.
I don't know that I've heard this story.
So
watch your mouth about Josh Groban. I'm a fan.
No. I'm also a fan, and I don't know if you ever watched. He was in a show on Netflix. Only had one season. Tony Danza was his father. He was phenomenal in it. He was great as Andy's brother in the Office.
He was great in the Office. Yeah.
So.
Bye, Tuna. Bye, Pam.
So I worked out at Walmart in the garden center, and this was close to probably 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was out there, and when you first walked in off to the right, we had this section set up, and there was a CD player over there, and they wanted Christmas music playing at all times. Okay, so there was a Josh Groban CD. And somebody put it in, and I don't mind it, but it was skipping really bad. It was just skipping horribly.
Right.
And at first I thought, is that just how he sings? I don't remember him sounding like that. And I start listening. I'm like, no, it's definitely skipping. So I go take it out, put a different CD in.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm pretty sure that I'm one of the only people working out here at the time. And I go back out through the double doors out to the outside patio section, do something. Mm-hmm. And I'd walk back in, and no bullshit, I'd come back in, and I'd hear Josh Groban over there. And I'm like, I took that out. Who came out here and put that back in? So I go over there because it started skipping again. I go over, take it out. I look around. I'm like, who is out here? And I look around the corner, and I don't see anybody. I change CDs and go, this happens 2 more times. I walk out and come back in, and somebody's put Josh Groban back in. And to this day, never knew who was fucking.
It was Josh Groban. He just goes to Walmarts around rural Indiana at Christmas time.
It's what he does.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know what you were thinking.
Other listeners, so as we were talking, we have somebody that submitted a response to the survey. So I'm going to go back and kind of read their responses.
That admitted to doing that to me finally on this. It was me. Is it finally the culprit behind the Josh Groban CD debacle?
Yeah, that was it. So Darth Eakin said his favorite holiday movie is It's a Wonderful Life, which I know that's a lot of people's favorite one. It's not mine. Yeah, I think it was good for what it was. Yeah. And then
what you should see.
Yeah. And then Hopsgeeks News said that their favorite is Jingle All the Way. And then Nefarious Podcast, Nefarious Nightmare Podcast submitted theirs. And going back to what they had said, their favorite holiday memory going up is watching the Christmas lights on the tree. They don't know what it was about, old 1980s Christmas lights, but they were magical. I think probably because the lights were a lot, brighter than what we have in LEDs now. Favorite holiday present going up was Rocking Horse when they were little, 9 Inch Nails shirts, posters, and full discography when they were a teen. And
boy, that took a sharp turn from a Rocking Horse to 9 Inch Nails.
Right.
And then their favorite holiday movie is Home Alone and A Christmas Story. So, all right. Next question is favorite holiday song. I think Derek, you went first last time, so Ian, you'll be up.
Not huge into Christmas music. However, I have a special place in my heart for Mariah Carey. So anything off the Mariah Carey Christmas album, the original one,
nice.
I'm there for.
So you gotta be a fan of All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Oh yeah. It's funny because at work they'll play like all these songs. I hear them like 20 times a day. And it'll be like the same songs over and over. But they'll play that song like maybe once every 2 days. It's starting to pick up a little bit more now. But there for the first month we listened to Christmas music, it wasn't playing at all. And I was complaining. I was asking for corporate's number. I was like, why? The one song I like doesn't get played. Get out of here.
Well, my guess is because it's such a controversial song, like not controversial necessarily, but people either love it or they hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they probably didn't want to.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Drown out.
So much.
So they're probably like being, conservative with like how often they play it and making people upset by it, Derek, your favorite holiday songs?
So anything by Mariah Carey gets skipped immediately when I'm listening to Christmas music.
Blasphemy, but that's
it's awful. It's such a terrible song.
I accept you for your flaws.
Hey, that's okay.
You said anything Mariah Carey, which means you hate all of them.
No, all of her Christmas songs. I have no problem with Mariah Carey. She's got a wonderful discography.
No, I'm saying like you don't like any of the Christmas songs?
No.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe because I hate All I Want for Christmas so much that I'm afraid that the other ones are going to be just as bad. So I just skip it.
I mean, honestly, it's so popular that it's one of those things where it just gets ingrained in your mind. I think people can get sick of it pretty easily because of that,
But I'm just saying, like, if she's singing, she just jingle bells. Nope. No, thank you.
Because I literally did that yesterday. To All I Want for Christmas.
That's like she should really psych everybody out. The whole album should have been her starting like Rudolph the Red. I want.
I buy that album.
Should have rickrolled everybody the entire album.
You know what? If she did, I buy it too.
You would have respected
She
it
deserved
more.
it. She deserves that respect. But as
marketing
far as music,
idea, Mariah. Marketing idea.
As far as Christmas music that I actually like, my favorite traditional Christmas song is "Do You Hear What I Hear?" I know that's kind of a weird one. That's kind of a weird one, but it was my dad's favorite, and so for anybody that doesn't know, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners don't, the reason I bring up my dad constantly is because he actually died around Christmas. That was one of the sad stories. So a lot of the things that I love so much about Christmas time are things that he loved. Right. And so Do You Hear What I Hear was his favorite Christmas song. So it always makes me happy. It makes me think of him. So I really enjoy that. However, I'm a big fan of Michael Bublé and almost anything. I thought you were about to say Michael Bolton for some reason.
This is the tale.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm a real big fan of a dude just screaming as loud as he can into a microphone. Really make a lot of people mad. I'm so Sean, I'm so sorry when you edit the audio. The spikes on this thing are going to be ridiculous.
Oh, it'll be fine. I'll get it.
Michael Bolton is trying to sing outside of everybody's house. He's screaming through the window. Go, Michael Bolton, get out of here.
But no, I'm a big fan of Michael Bublé. I really like his Christmas albums that he's put out, and so pretty much anything that he does.
Yeah.
My favorite actually one is probably the one I sing the most often when I'm having a terrible day at work is Silver Bells. I like
Michael Bublé's Silver Bells, or
pretty much any of them, but Michael Bublé has the best version.
He has a really good
one.
all
of them.
Yeah.
God, man, you made me so sad, and I was hoping you were going to say my dad used to sing this to me every night before. I was just going to leave and come to your house now and just hug you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny is my wife loves Michael Bublé's Christmas album as well too. But
he's a national treasure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and it's in his album is really good.
Yeah.
But the thing when you said about Do You Hear What I Hear? I personally hate that song because it's in Gremlins and I hate Gremlins.
Oh, I love Gremlins.
You hate Gremlins?
Much.
I do. I think it's just because when I watch it when I was a kid, like again, I think this is actually, we probably diagnosed why I don't like horror Christmas films is because Gremlins is set around Christmas.
Yeah, that's right.
I love Christmas as a kid and like seeing monsters, killing people or whatever that was happening in that movie during Christmas really ruined it for me. And that was the song that they were playing in that one scene. It just kept playing on the record and everything. So I cannot listen to that song without thinking of Gremlins. And so it's one of my most hated songs as well too.
I'm actually glad. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Sean, we've had this debate, not argument, debate several times between me and Derek and Colonel Bob and on the Horror podcast with the other guys. In your opinion, what qualifies a movie as a Christmas movie? Is a Christmas movie to you a movie that takes place around Christmas, or is actually centered around Christmas? Because you brought up Gremlins, which is a movie that takes place around Christmas time, right?
Right.
So, is it fair to say that's like a horror Christmas comedy movie? And again, and it's weird how these genres work, because it's labeled as a horror movie. I wouldn't even consider Gremlins a horror movie.
Yeah, and it's traditionally not, and I think that's one of those things where it's like it just falls under those genres, but kind of fringed a little bit because it doesn't necessarily go into it. But I actually want to save that question and answer for later for another question, because
I mean to bury the lead. Sorry,
no. That's totally fine. So, but my favorite song for the holidays is honestly, again, going back to Spirited is creeping up there. Like I've been listening to that album constantly because it's it reminds you of like a Broadway musical, the kinds of music and stuff like that. And I'm a musical theater kind of guy. So that's getting up there. But my favorite is always anything from Straight No Chaser, especially Indiana Christmas.
I love that song. It's such a good song.
Such a great song. And the fact that, we're all from Indiana, the fact that there's a holiday song that has the state name in it, I think is just really cool. And so, but it's a really nice, I feel like it's a really moving, like soothing song. And I absolutely love that. That's one of my favorite holiday songs of the year. So, our listeners said their favorite holiday song. Darth Eakin said, "Do they know it's Christmas?" I forget. I know it's like
Band-Aid, right? Isn't that what it was called?
Band-Aid. I think it's Band-Aid. Yeah. And then Hopsgeeks News said Jingle Bell Rock. And then Nefarious Nightmare said, let me find it, Oh Holy Night. So those are their favorite songs. Oh Holy Night is because I went to, Christmas Mass growing up, that was always like a common song to hear. So I grew up hearing that one.
Yeah, I used to sing that every Christmas Eve. We had a Christmas Eve service at church. And I did that song every single year for 15 years. And now I can't anymore. I can't do it. It's a beautiful song. I love that song, especially like the Josh Groban version of it. But man, I can't. I can barely listen.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Next question. Favorite holiday decoration. Derek, you can go first.
Oh gosh. My favorite one when I was a kid, I'll split it up that way. We used to have these decorative Santa mugs, and they were like, it was just like Santa's face, and he had the top of his hat, and then the little dangle thing. I don't even know what that's called, but the little floppity part.
this part, the top of it, the floppy top,
the floppy top, like curled around and attached at the bottom, and that was the mug. And we had those, and it was one of those things where I don't even know where we got them. I don't know if they were my parents, my grandparents, or what, but they were out every single Christmas. And I remember thinking that, okay, now it's Christmas time because the Santa mugs are out.
Right.
If it's now, I've got a Hallmark ornament that I put up every year that has my favorite quote from my favorite scene from Star Wars. It's the scene where Obi-Wan gives Luke Anakin's lightsaber, and you click through the button and the lightsaber lights up. Luke's holding it out in front of him, and they're in his hut, and you hear Obi-Wan say, "Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough, but your uncle wouldn't allow it." And you click through that whole scene of him explaining what a lightsaber is, and it's my favorite. And my kids have destroyed it because even changing the batteries won't make it light up and do the sound anymore, because they would just sit there and just click, 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 click. Yeah. But I love that ornament. It's still my favorite. It is broken so many times, and I've re-glued it, and I will keep doing it until it is nothing but dust.
What about you, Ian? I know you probably don't have one, maybe, but
I really don't. The only time I like holiday decorations is when I get to throw them in the trash. And talking about insult to injury. So I used to work at Lowe's as well, and
me too.
Really? So in October, like even like 2 weeks before Halloween, our store, like we always had to tear down the decorations and start putting up like Christmas stuff. I'm just like, it's not even November yet.
Yeah.
It's not even Halloween.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I always got tasked with like resetting all of the steel over in the holiday section and then putting all the trees and stuff up. And I'm just like, everybody knows I hate this. Why? Not like the actual work itself. I would rather go up and reshingle the roof right now. Like, why do I have to be the one to put up Christmas decorations? Two
They're
things I
probably trying to
hate.
get you to quit.
Right?
Yeah.
Get him out of here. We can't fire him. So,
That's what they do, man. They give you the worst job so they so you can quit and they don't have to like, give you what's it called? Separation.
Like severance.
right.
Severance, thank you. Yeah.
So like two things I hated were Christmas and heights, and those are the two things I had to endure every holiday season. They're like, hey, can you run this equipment and go up to the top? I'm just like, fucking, but I hate that. There's two things in this world I hate.
Oh man. Well, with that note, I will go ahead and go into what my favorite ones are.
Sorry, I'm not full of a lot of holiday cheer. So.
No, it's okay.
You're gonna be holly jolly by the time we're out of here.
Yeah.
He sure is jolliest. But who is he? It's my favorite line from Violent Night.
For me, it's these decorations growing up, because they're a little bit nostalgic, but we would always have these lights on the tree that not only did they light up, but there was music that would play with it.
Mm-hmm.
And when the music was playing, the lights would blink in sync with the music as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So that was, and actually, I mean, these lights behind me, it's not the same lights that I had growing up, but they do the same thing. Like there's a box there I can press on and it'll play the music and it'll blink in synchronization with it. The other thing that I had growing up that I absolutely loved, and I told my mom this a few Christmases ago because I found out like she got rid of it a long time ago. I was just like, why did you get rid of it? We all love this thing. It's this thing called Mr. Christmas Mickey's Marching Band, where it's these Disney characters that are dressed in holiday outfits, but they're holding like a little bell hammer, and they each have a bell, and they will hit the bells and play different Christmas songs. And so there was like, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, Pluto, all of them. And it was just really cool to watch because they're all like standing on top of a drum in their Christmas gear. And the hammers that they're holding were spring loaded. So when they weren't playing, like you could actually take the spring, like pull it back and like hit the bell. And we did that a lot, but it was a lot of fun. Like we would just play it and watch it. And we were just really fascinated with it. It's like, the dumbest thing, but as a kid, it was so great. I loved it. And so I was really upset when my mom said that she actually got rid of it like years ago and all that. So I've been trying to look on eBay to see if I could find it somewhere. And they are selling on eBay, but it's like, $200 for a used one. And
wow.
I know. I'm just like, I wish, I could get it like, in good condition or something like that and kind of give it to my mom as a Christmas present one year. And that way she could have it back again and all that. But it's way too expensive to get just a used one that, let alone a one that's in really good condition. But I'm hoping that they might bring it back at some point. So, well, my trackpad has died again. So let me try to see if I can see these responses on my phone here. Actually, it looks like I might be able to. So, let me pull up and give me 1 second here. Sorry. Let's see. There, Darth Eakin said his favorite holiday decoration are lights! ! So very excited about that. Let's see here. Hopscotch News says favorite holiday decoration is the Christmas tree. And then Nefarious Nightmare said their favorite holiday decoration is old school 80s Christmas lights, also leg lamp if you can get a hold of one from Christmas Story, which my sister has one of those, by the way. Not only does
it's a major award.
Yes, not only she has that, but they also sold these like Christmas lights ornament type of thing where like it's 3 or 4 inch leg lamp across a whole strand of lights, basically. So let's see here. I need to figure out what the next question is. Here we go. Okay. Ian, do you have a favorite holiday food by chance?
I don't know that I have a favorite holiday food.
Okay.
I know our family didn't do a lot of turkey was usually a Thanksgiving thing. We did ham for Christmas.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy a good ham, a good glazed ham.
Yeah. Funny enough, I do not like ham at all.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. Like
Okay.
in no shape or form do I like ham in any kind of way. So I feel like I'm that one guy in green eggs and ham, but just ham.
Yeah, I guess if I had to pick, it would probably be ham for me because everything else, I feel like holiday Christmas food you have during Thanksgiving as well. At least our family always did. But Derek, you know how I feel about ham. I want all the ham.
Oh my god!
Derek and I always quote that Patton Oswalt joke.
Yeah,
every week.
What about you, Derek?
Oh my gosh! I for the longest time I hated ham as well. So you're not alone. We would always do Thanksgiving turkey and then ham at Christmas, and it got to the point where I was so gung ho that I wouldn't eat ham at Christmas time that my grandmother would cook like a turkey breast, like a full turkey breast just for me to make sure that it was available to me because I was spoiled, if you can't tell by my Christmas presents over the years. But now I have to say it's an odd one. Broccoli cheese casserole. My mother makes it every single year. Every year she makes like 2 or 3 because my brother-in-law, who's also actually my brother-in-law, I think is the same height as you, Sean.
Oh, really?
He's a little bit taller than I am.
Yeah.
And he's a big, farm boy. And between the two of us, we can kill a 9x13 in like a second. So she always makes 2 or 3. But yeah, so it's a weird one. But broccoli cheese casserole, I'm all about it. I would eat nothing but that if you gave me the chance at Christmas.
I don't think I would have ever expected that answer. I would be more surprised. I wouldn't be more surprised if my face was stapled to the carpet floor. Whatever that line is, right? Yeah. For me, Little Debbie Christmas tree cake snacks.
Oh God.
Okay, I didn't even think about that. That's
oh God.
See, look, I'm throwing the computer around now. Little Debbie.
I love those. Honestly, I just absolutely love them.
Ooh, yeah, 100%. I'm saying, look, you wanted this to be a debate. I'll debate you on whether or not those greasy and yet somehow chalky things exist. They defy the laws.
Have you had those? Chalky, have you had one though?
Oh God, yeah, I try them all the time. I keep giving it a shot. I'm like, everyone loves these things. I know I'm the outlier. I'm the weird one. I've got to be wrong. Every time I get.
Where are you getting chalky and greasy? Are you getting them from the same place your dad got PS2s? Getting them out of somebody's trunk?
I was about to say,
are they from last year? I've never had one that meets that description.
Yeah. Thank you, Ian, because that was exactly what I was saying. It was just like, where are you getting your Little Debbie snacks from?
I've got them from grocery stores, gas stations,
just
wherever.
Your neighbor, Little Debbie.
Oh my God!
I was so confused. What about the ice cream, Sean? Have you had the ice cream version?
There's an ice cream version?
Yeah, they got sell them at Walmart, and they've got all of them, right? They've got the Christmas tree one. They've got the
zebra cakes.
The zebra cakes. They've got the strawberry roll one, cinnamon bun one. There's one of that. You didn't know this?
I did not know this.
He does now.
Walmart,
I know, and that's
Walmart,
probably dangerous. My wife will probably hate you now because of this.
They've got them, especially during this time. They have them on the end cap of the freezer section. That end cap freezer door is usually.
I have to go to Walmart tomorrow when I.
Yeah, you won't. If you like the Christmas trees, man, you won't be disappointed on these at all. I can't believe. I think they had just came out last year, didn't they, Derek? They didn't. They haven't been. They're not that old.
Hey, I just explained how much I hate the Little Debbie Christmas tree cakes? You think I'm looking out for the ice cream? I don't know what you're talking about.
But you haven't seen the Little Debbie ice cream, any of them?
No, I try to avoid anything Little Debbie zebra cake related because all the Christmas tree cakes are just repackaged zebra cakes, and it kind of like candy corn. I honestly think that they only made one batch of zebra cakes once, and they're so gross that they just repackage them as something else every year, just like they do with candy corn. So I don't pay attention to anything.
I don't know how well this is going to show up, but yeah.
No, I can honestly say I've never
oh my
seen
gosh, yeah. So Ian's showing a picture of the ice cream on the Walmart app. I mean, it's clearly, marketed as Little Debbie's Christmas tree cakes. I'm glad to tell my wife about this now. She will definitely hate you and probably curse you and be like, you can't talk to this
what's
guy
great
ever.
about that ice cream? What's great about that ice cream is in every spoonful, there's a little packet of dusty, chalky like cake.
I'm still not sure what you're eating at all.
I know you might have to make a trip to Indianapolis because I wonder if our quality is a little bit.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, I'm eating the same ones that Ian has. So
True.
Are you eating yours off of a chalkboard? I don't understand why yours are chalky.
They're just the cake is so dry and nasty.
Yeah.
My camera can't even focus now.
Darth Eakin said that his favorite holiday food is mixed nuts, which you can't go wrong with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hopsgeeks News said cheesecake. And Nefarious Nightmare said food in general. And then said, does eggnog count? Because they like eggnog. And I am a fan of eggnog. What about you two?
No, I'm not. Ian and I actually just had this conversation a couple of days ago that we were talking about drinks and things like that. And I'm not a fan of eggnog. But then again, I've also only tried non-alcoholic eggnog. And so what I hear is that if you have the adult version of eggnog, it might be better.
Well,
right.
See, that's the thing. We on the Horror You Know podcast, actually, when we do our Christmas episodes, Trent will buy a thing of eggnog, and nobody's like the biggest fan of eggnog, but he'll buy eggnog and then rum, and we'll drink the alcoholic version of eggnog. Well, I think 2 years in a row, I have put I fill a glass of about this much eggnog. Mm-hmm. And the rest of it's just the rum. So I like rum with a splash of eggnog in mine.
See, I only drink the non-alcoholic ones. I don't really drink, so that's the only kind I ever have, and I love it. So I don't know, Derek. I guess maybe it's just different end of the spectrum.
Well, and also, I've no.
Is it too chalky for you? Is that what it is?
No, I already said that I was
too eggy.
Yeah, definitely too eggy. I already said that I was spoiled.
Not enough nog for you.
I'm also incredibly picky. Like I got scolded by my wife today because I'm such a picky eater.
Oh yeah,
and so yeah, it is not something that I'm unaware of. I know that I'm the odd one out, but what can you say when you're raised just getting to eat whatever you like? That's how it goes.
Right. Yeah.
I blame
you got to eat
my
what
parents.
you liked as a child. I had to eat all kinds of disgusting things. Salmon patties.
We had to. Oh, salmon patties are so good.
What is wrong with you? Who are you?
Somebody likes salmon patties.
You don't like Little Debbie anything. You like
no, that's not true.
Patties.
I don't like anything Little Debbie that has to do with zebra cakes. I will demolish Little Debbie treats, just not the zebra cakes ones.
But that's what I was saying with the ice cream. And you're like, oh, no way, nothing like that. They don't. It's not just the zebra cakes, man. They have, like they said, the cinnamon, like the cinnamon roll things. They have that. They have the strawberry shortcake one, and I know there's other Little Debbie. The cosmic brownie. They have a cosmic.
All right,
brownie
I'll give the cosmic brownie one. We gotta move on. Sean's never gonna have us on the show again.
I'm afraid to ask this one, but what is something that might drive you nuts about the holidays, Ian?
The holidays.
How much time we got?
The holidays.
Yeah. How much time do we? You just said we had to wrap this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me say it all started when I was a boy. Yeah, it's just the holidays. That's my answer, straight across the board.
Yeah, and honestly, and I think that's one of the things that we're just now, as I think a society, just kind of recognizing is that the holidays is not always a great time for everybody, and that for some people it's not a good time, and for a number of different reasons and everything. I think that's totally fine to not enjoy the holidays and everything like that. I don't know if you saw this, but I saw this on Twitter the other day, and as much as I love the holidays, like this really irked me, where I guess somebody left one of their neighbors a letter in the mail, scolding them for not putting lights up. and calling them
No, I
like a
haven't seen that.
Scrooge. Yeah,
Calling
it
the
was
Grinch or something like that. That
yeah, it was
ridiculous.
a terrible. Yeah, it was really terrible. I'm just like that. You don't.
Oh, you guys saw that letter that my neighbor left me? I didn't know they made that public. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, but it's just but like one, you don't know why they didn't put the lights up, and there could be a number of reasons, and the fact that they didn't even try to one, it's not their business to find out or anything like that.
Right.
But I think to jump to this conclusion, because they went to a bunch of conclusions with why they had done that, and pretty much told them they were Scrooge and everything. But it's again, it's not a jolly time for everybody, and that's perfectly fine. I think we need to keep that in mind and everything. So yeah, so Ian, totally fine. It's okay, buddy.
It's for me, it's a misconception because Christmas is labeled as this holiday, cheerful, joyful time. And I know, like, for most, like, when you put up your Christmas lights and like you are looking pretty festive back there and your lights look awesome. What? And I'm not trying to take that away. Like, a lot of people put in a lot of work with their lights, and they take it very seriously, Clark Griswold style. And that's I applaud you for that. I don't have the patience for it personally, but I guess my point being is that's awesome. And I like giving gifts just in general. I like making my friends happy or family, whoever I'm giving a gift to. It's a good feeling. The problem is that most of the people I talk to are usually fake happy during this time. They're so miserable, and it's because of the stress of what Christmas does to people. In my opinion, I've talked to a lot of people that are like, I started Christmas shopping around this time, and it's just so busy. And around here, Derek said, we small town. Usually, we have to drive to either like Indy, Louisville, bigger cities like that stay open later, because a lot of places around here we usually work during the evening and everything closes by 7-8 p.m. Unless you go to Walmart, but you don't sometimes it's more extravagant than that people want gifts that or if I have something in mind that I want to get, like, for example, Derek, I wanted to get Bob and Derek something this year for Christmas. I did the same thing for my other podcast. We did a exchange. We did like a funny gift exchange, and it wasn't like funny, it was just like fun gifts, and I got Ian Wells a Snoop Dogg cookbook.
I didn't even know they had that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it says from crook to cook on it, and it has all these soul food recipes and everything in it.
And it's got that man with a big old,
and he's just like on the front of it. And I was scrolling through Amazon. I said, "This is it," and I got it, and I wrapped it, and he unwrapped it, and I shit you not, to this day, because this was a few weeks ago, I gave it to him. There was a cellophane wrapping over the book. He still hasn't opened it. He's just like, I can't open it. I just think, I was like, you can't save it for 20 years, and I'll get you another one if you want to collect one.
Yeah.
Open it up and make me some of that bacon that's in there, man. So
go buy used one so he doesn't have an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. So what I ended up doing was, I didn't tell anybody, but I went and got everybody a gift, all three of them. And I knew if I told them, they'd feel obligated to get me a gift. And to me, that's not what Christmas should be about. It's about giving. And I wanted to get them basically kind of like what you have there. Actually, it's more closer than what Derek has. It's the arm for our microphones.
Oh yeah.
And what was happening was, we record in live in person, and we have this table, and four of us sit at like one large table, and we're across the room or whatever. So like, if we'll take shots on there, we'll go to hand each other stuff, and somebody will hit their mic or drop their elbow on the table, and they're all condenser mics, and they pick everything up. So I'm like, I'm going to get them all this. So I end up getting them these gifts. And then I got Derek and Bob something. And then Bob brings up like, hey, on our podcast, we should do a gift exchange. I was like, no, we shouldn't, because I already got you guys something. And I wasn't going to tell you, because you're going to feel obligated to give me something now. So then, of course, Derek and Bob are both, Colonel Bob and Derek were just like, oh, now we all have to get each other stuff. I was like, no, you don't have to do that. So I think it just puts a pressure on people, and a lot of people go a little stir crazy during the holidays, because they get these gifts and they're sitting at home and they're trying to wrap everything. And if you got kids, I've never had kids, surprised, but I feel like it's much harder to hurry up and wrap everything without them coming into the room and being able to hide all that stuff. And
so difficult.
That's why they go stay at the grandparents' house for a weekend, so you can get theirs.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
No, but I mean, that's a valid point, because I know somebody had said this on Twitter the other day, and I completely agree with this, is that it is such a stressful financial burden for a lot of people as well too, because it's so much money you got to spend at the end of the year, especially for like things that happen at the end of the year for some people. Like, so for example, because of our last name, our car registrations for the BMV happens, we have to pay by December and all that. And I mean, those things are cheap, and so for a lot of people, it can be a lot to have to spend a lot of money, as opposed to somebody has suggested, why don't we just like, think about spreading that out throughout the year instead of just having it all be something that's happened at the end of the year, where people are, loading a bunch of money to, try to meet those kind of demands and everything that the holidays can bring and all that. And I agree with you. And I think it's one of those things where the whole idea is to spend time with family, and giving gifts should be something that you can give without feeling like you're obligated to give a gift back to somebody if they do that, because I think that's just how the mentality is in general. When people give us something, that we feel like we owe them something or whatever, and that's kind of goes against it. And so I know, like, if I give someone a gift and they never give me something, for the holidays, like, I don't think anything of it, because I'm like, that wasn't the whole point of it anyways. But but I totally get it. Like, I agree with that, is that it's kind of got warped into that a little bit, and it gets crazier every year, and I think that's why the whole idea of like bringing Christmas back to like the presents and everything, and the movies and all that is something that just resonates with a lot of people, because every year seems like it gets a little bit crazier, and it's like trying to get back to the whole origin of it. So.
Well, and think about it, like if your next door neighbor gets their kids stuff, and what they got them, and they're talking to you about it, and it's all these extravagant gifts, and then your kids are like friends with those kids that go to school together, and then they think like, oh, that's cool, like I can't wait for Christmas. But you're maybe you're in a one income house, or you're a single parent, and you're keeping all the lights and everything on. Obviously you want to get your kids something for Christmas, so you're going to cut a little cheap this year. Well, you also don't want your kids thinking that you love them less. And I know, like, that I just can imagine that would be stressful as well. Like, I know people in that situation too, where they're just like so stressed. They're just like, I want to give my kids something real special and something nice, but I feel like I fail them as a parent because I can't do that. And I'm just like, nobody should ever have to feel that way.
Right. Agree. Derek, what irks you about the holidays?
Oh, Derek, are you still here? Sorry.
In all honesty, what irks me about the holidays are people that don't like the holiday, that hate it, that don't understand that it's the most wonderful time of the year. I despise that, and I think those people are just.
Is it? Did you fall asleep during my rant?
No, in all honesty, all jokes aside, that actually is part of the thing that irks me, but it's not the way that I was saying. That was a joke. I work for the post office, and so December is a terrible time of year for us. Like, there's no getting around it. It is the most stressful, the most exhausting time of work for us. I work 6 days a week, 12 to 14-hour days. I can barely even walk when I get home. It's a lot, but I love Christmas time, and so I'm always excited about Christmas. I walk into work singing Christmas carols. I drive on my route singing Christmas carols. I really enjoy it. And my biggest problem with Christmas is people that don't like the holiday, that want to make you miserable during the holiday, because those people exist too. And those people suck, because I understand if you don't like Christmas, I'm not going to stand right next to somebody I'm not going to stand next to Ian and freaking sing Frosty the Snowman into his ear, or it's the most wonderful time of the year, while locking eyes with him. Like, don't you agree?
Yeah, and I'm not going to Christmas shame you either. Like, if I'm with somebody, like I work with the guy, Marcus, he loves Christmas. It's his favorite time of year. I think it's ridiculous. However, I respect his wrong opinion. And anytime he talks about lights or stuff, I'll give a backhanded comment, just joking around, like, oh God. And I think I'll tell you guys that joke later. I don't know if it's appropriate for this podcast. So I'll tell you the joke later and show you the picture I sent him. But more of the story is, like, I wouldn't shame you for liking Christmas. I just I don't like it. I'm very opinionated about it, but I'm not trying to sway anybody over to the dark side over here.
Right. And so that bothers me when people are like, I understand that Christmas is not the best time for people. One of the reasons why I so desperately try to make sure that Christmas is fun for me and my family is because, like I did mention, my dad died 3 days after Christmas. He was buried on New Year's Day. this is a rough month for me emotionally every single year. And so I want to make sure that I enjoy the time that I have with my family and with in this time of year that we're meant to embrace happiness and joy and being together. And so I understand that it's a hard time for people. I really do. I understand that there are people that are going through terrible, terrible times, but don't try and take someone else's joy because I know misery loves company, but don't try and take someone else's joy. Somebody that's just trying to get through it. And the biggest problem I have with that is a lot of the people that I work with are the ones that are so gung-ho about trying to make everyone else as miserable as they are. And it's like, we already work for the post office. We're miserable already. Can you not have 1 month out of the year where you try and smile on purpose? For the love of all that's holy.
Well, and think about the fact that, like, you told me this billions of times now that you do the holiday thing with all packages, especially the way the mail is set up now that everybody orders online. You don't get home till like 9 p.m. sometimes. Yeah, so you barely get to see your family.
I don't see my family most days. Like I was talking to Ian this week, and Thursday was the first time my youngest son, it will be 2 in January, and Thursday was the first time that I got to give him a hug since Sunday. Because he's asleep when I go to work and he's in bed when I get home. Yeah. So I don't get to see. I forgot that my wife and the kids do Christmas pajamas on Christmas Eve. She was like, "Oh, I got to get Christmas pajamas for everybody so we can open on New Year's Eve." I was like, "When did you start doing that?" Because I'm not home on New Year's Eve. They're in bed by the time I get home. Right. So yeah, it's a rough time. But you know what? I come in whistling, and on Christmas Eve, I'll put pictures up online. I'll put up TikToks. I go in with bells in my beard, an ugly Christmas sweater on, and I'm gonna on purpose enjoy this holiday, and you're not gonna bring me down. So yeah, that's my biggest problem. Stop trying to yuck everybody's yum. You suck.
So Darth Eakins has said what drives him nuts about the holidays is the greed, which I think we all touched on there. Hops Geeks News said how stressful it is with gift giving. Which we touch on that as well too. And then Nefarious Nightmare said when people get angry about the most expensive item not making it under the tree, Karens who Karen around in retail stores, and Mariah Carey.
Oh, Mariah.
Sorry, Ian. Wasn't me. I'm just saying.
I'm out of here. You guys succeeded. You finally you know how to get my buttons pushed. You know how to get me to leave.
Yeah. All right. So last question, and then we'll go into comics that we're reading here. And this is a question that everyone discusses and argues about, debates about. This is something that I have had conversations with my boss every year ever since I started working on the team, because we have these, not like hotly debated, like heated discussions, but he would make an argument like why this is, and I'll make an argument why it's not and all that. But is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Who wants to go first with that?
I'm long-winded, Derek, about this topic.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Well, so am I. So Ian was asking that question earlier. I knew that this is why Sean wanted to hold it off to the end.
Yep. That's right.
If I'm talking to certain people, I will argue to the death that it's a Christmas movie. That the certain people, it's Colonel Bob. It's Colonel Bob.
Certain person.
I like how you Colonel Bob dropped him.
Yeah, it's 100% him. We've had this he got so mad at me the other day. He's like, I don't understand why you have to argue. I was like, well, you're the only one I argue with this. I don't care. I consider it a Christmas movie, but then again, I have a separate category that I talk about, fringe Christmas movies, where it's things that take place around Christmas but aren't necessarily dictated by Christmas. My argument for it being a Christmas movie is the fact that John McClane wouldn't have been at Nakatomi Plaza if it wasn't for a Christmas party. And that's about it. And also, Reginald Vell Johnson just came out and said, yes, it's a Christmas movie. The writer of the movie said it's a Christmas movie. I know Bruce Willis said it wasn't.
Said the same thing. I wasn't going to tell Bob that.
I know Bruce Willis said it wasn't. But, that's one actor, and all these other people are saying, yeah, it is. But it in my opinion, it comes down to personal preference. I don't think it matters. It's a great movie.
Right.
But I will consider it a Christmas movie, and I will fight Colonel Bob to the death, and no one else. I won't argue with anybody.
Ian.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me settle in. Here we go.
To answer this question, Sean, we have to really evaluate what is Christmas. Christmas actually dates back to the old times. No, I think it's too broad for me, man. I don't know, like if you consider Die Hard, I disagreed with Derek on one thing. Derek says if it wasn't for the Christmas party, John McClane would have never been there at the Christmas party,
because it's accurate.
Which makes sense. He wouldn't be there for the Christmas party if it wasn't around Christmas. That makes sense,
right?
But there are other parties. It could have been a New Year's party. It could have been like a promotion, like a big client, because it was it was one of those business type jobs to where like there was like accounts and stuff open up. So like it could there was other like type of party. So it could have easily been a New Year's Eve party. So I don't agree with it being a Christmas movie, because I feel like if that's a Christmas movie, you throw in Lethal Weapon, you throw in like Gremlins was an example, Batman Returns, all
Iron
these
Man
movies,
3.
Iron Man 3 that all take place around Christmas but aren't centered on Christmas. It's the same thing with Die Hard. I get what you're saying, Derek, but like I said, it could have been any other party. It could have been anything.
I'm going to interrupt your long-winded rant because Gremlins absolutely is a Christmas movie.
Why do you say that, though?
Gizmo is a Christmas present.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
The whole movie is centered around Christmas, and it all takes place during Christmas. Gizmo's a present. It's a Christmas movie.
But Gizmo could have been a birthday present.
He could have been, but then again, that wouldn't have made sense for all those Christmas decorations and Christmas songs to be playing during the entire thing.
No, but
you still would have had the same story and just a different.
We could have it, different.
See, here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm kind of with
by that
Ian on
That's
this.
why I said broad.
Yeah.
By that matter, what if Christmas Vacation could have easily been a Thanksgiving movie if he would have had all the people come
Nobody
around for
celebrates
Thanksgiving
like that, Derek. Be real.
Have you met my family, Ian? You've been to many of our Thanksgiving.
I have.
See, I'm with Ian on this. Again, I'm with you as well, Derek, in terms of I don't think it really matters.
It's a gray area.
Yeah, it's like whatever. Just enjoy it however you want to enjoy it. There are some people who get like really heated about this. And I'm just like, there are other things to be upset about. Yeah. Well, we're doing friendly banter. There's some people who are like really angry.
Oh,
yeah. Speak to you for days over it, like Bob.
Yeah.
No, it's totally fine. Like, I don't consider it a Christmas movie. If Derek does, that's fine. We can agree to disagree. I understand why he does. I just hope he understands why I don't.
Right. Yeah.
No. Yeah, of course I do. It makes her, like I said, it's a fringe Christmas movie.
Yeah, but I agree with Ian in that I think it's not a Christmas movie if you can write the story. If you can take Christmas out of the movie and it still, holds itself together. Like if you change the elements so that it's not Christmas, but the occasion or whatever is different and it can stand by its own. I think it's not a Christmas a Christmas movie at that point. So when you think of movies like, the Santa Claus and some of those other things are, traditionally holiday movies, it makes sense because you can't really rewrite it without that in there. Whereas, Die Hard, Batman Returns, all those movies, it doesn't have to be centered around Christmas in order for that story to still hold. Right. And so that's why I'm always, kind of, if I had to make a decision, I wouldn't put Die Hard as a Christmas movie because it still would have been a great story, a great movie without the Christmas element in it, So
right.
Without the fact of them mentioning it's a Christmas party, you would have never even known it was Christmas time because it was in like California.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it was like
snowing.
It was not snowing or anything. And that's the
snowing.
same way with Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon's in California. There's no snow. It actually rains in the movie.
Yeah.
So
hey, it's rained here on Christmas.
Yeah, and I get that, but like the reason I can argue against what Derek is saying on like Christmas Vacation could have easily been a Thanksgiving movie. It's a completely different movie at that point. That whole movie is based around presents, Christmas trees, Christmas joy, Christmas lights. Everything about that is Christmas. So if you take Christmas out of that movie, it's a completely different movie, in my opinion, because there's a lot of Christmas references and stuff.
Right.
So that's why I say that. But like, if I was going to actually bring that up, but Sean hit on it. If you take Christmas out of Die Hard, it's still Die Hard. If you take Christmas out of Batman Returns, it's a little bit different of a movie. It could still be wintertime with snow and everything, but I mean, like the Christmas tree scene and everything, not 100% necessary. It just happened to be centered around that time. So I would agree that that is also not a Christmas movie.
Right. Right.
And I agree with your definition of fringe Christmas as well. Something that takes place but doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily revolve around it.
And the only reason I even bring that up is because I like there are movies that
You
I
like
like
to argue.
watching at Christmas time. No, they're like, well, yeah, I do. But there are movies I like to watch at Christmas time that aren't necessarily Christmas movies, but they have enough in common with it that I feel like, okay, well, because like I keep getting onto my kids because they don't want to watch anything Christmas. I'm like, this is our one chance. Like, why aren't we watching Elf? Like, why are we watching How to Train Your Dragon the 5 millionth time? Let's come on. It's
which
Muppet
they have a
Christmas
holiday
Carol
version
night.
of that.
They do. They really
Yeah.
do, and it's awesome. But yeah, I get real persnickety at Christmas time because I want to be watching Christmas movies. I want to be listening to Christmas music. You know, I'm going to immerse myself in Christmas so I don't think about the packages that are literally overflowing me every single day of my life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, the listeners, Darth Eakin said, "Is Die Hard a holiday movie?" F no is what he said. He was more explicit, but for this show, F no. Hops Geeks News says, "Yes, obviously." And then Nefarious Nightmare said, "Sure," which I feel like is kind of half and half answer.
I was going to say I was hoping for a tiebreaker there out of the three, and we didn't get it. We got absolute no, absolute yes, and I guess maybe.
So, but I'll have to make sure that my boss hears this, so that way he can, be mad at me and Ian.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So, well, I have to say that there were some elements of today's episode I had to take out because we're running kind of late on this. So I took out some of the questions. So if you were like expecting some of the questions or hot takes to come up, unfortunately, I just decided on the whim because everything is happening that let's just go ahead and just kind of cut down to this part of the show. So that wraps up our Battle of the Holidays. Let's finish this by talking about the comics we're reading currently. And so it could be, a new issue that's just dropped, or maybe it's a book that you're working on that came out, years ago, something like that. Derek, what comics are you reading right now?
Right now, of course, I'm always on the current run of Iron Man. So I'm reading that. Avengers Forever. They're getting into a big crossover with the main Avengers book and some other one that I haven't picked up yet. Excuse me. Captain America, Symbol of Truth. I'm reading right now, and then also I'm going back because I finally pulled the trigger on the DC app. What is it? DC
Infinite
Universe or whatever. And so I'm trying to fill in some holes in my Kyle Rayner books that I didn't read, like some of the side ones. So I'm reading Omega Men right now.
Oh, cool.
From right after New 50, or like right before Rebirth. They did that when he was still the White Lantern. And rereading Superman Birthright. I put up a TikTok today with all the sad news of Henry Cavill not coming back. I felt like reading a happy story about Superman, so I'm reading Birthright again, which is my favorite Superman story.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out. I don't think I've read that one yet.
It's Mark Waid.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely got to check it out.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah. How about you, Ian?
A lot. I had a lot of catching up I wanted to do, and then I also wanted to read current stuff. So one thing that I read recently that's not DC nor Marvel is going to kind of maybe shock you, but I just finished Archie versus the Predator.
Oh,
that sounds amazing.
That's a real series. It's a Dark Horse series. It's a limited series, and it's literally Archie versus the fucking Predator. So
that is
yeah.
That just seems like two genres that does not mix at all.
Right. Yeah.
That is interesting.
It's out there, but it was entertaining, and you've got to just spend a lot of belief there. It's just so goofy and silly, but that was one that I had finished up. I had caught up on, not all the way, but I started reading the New 52 Justice League, where Batman sits in the Mobius chair. And asked the question about the Joker, and he says the Mobius chair says there are three, which led me to read Batman: The Three Jokers finally. So I got caught up on that. I was reading a few things. I'm trying to remember, man, because I was going X-Men versus Avengers. I had never finished that, so I just, instead of picking up where I left off, I just started over and started reading.
Right.
I have been reading some Booster Gold. I actually like the character of Booster Gold, so I went back and started the first few issues of the New 52 Booster Gold, and then I jumped to present day because I'm behind on Batman. So I had got past the point where they did like the button when they, what was it, not Flashpoint, not Conversions,
Doomsday Clock?
Rebirth.
Oh, Rebirth.
When
you said button,
Rebirth,
I was thinking of the
one of the issues
comedian.
was literally called The Button.
Oh, okay.
So I started reading that, and then I started reading like the Flash like spinoffs that introduce some of the characters from that main storyline. So I've been, like I said, I've been reading a little bit. I'm sure there's more stuff I just haven't thought of, but I've been reading every single thing that I possibly could to catch up and to read some old stuff. Batman, no, I'm sorry, it's Superman Speeding Bullet. Have you ever heard of that one?
No.
Derek,
Yes. After I talked to you about it, yes.
Gotcha. So it's Superman lands in Gotham City, and he is discovered by Thomas and Martha Wayne.
Oh, interesting.
And he grows up as Bruce Wayne,
right.
but he's still he has the powers of Superman, but he dresses as Batman, and he can fly around, and
that's interesting.
Yeah, he doesn't become Superman to the end of this year, but it was like a limited like one shot type series. So it was really nice. I like that DC Infinite app. I get to read a lot of stuff that I didn't get to read that I've always wanted to, and it saves you on buying graphic novels unless you just want to collect one.
Right. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I have stacks of unread that I need to do, and I think for 2023, I definitely want to try to get caught up on all those things. So I might do a couple of YouTube videos, just kind of showing people like, here are my stacks and how I'm trying to get through that and everything. So for me, I just finished reading a series from Aftershock called Naughty List. That's supposed to be a retelling of Santa Claus. It's definitely adult oriented. It's not a jolly Saint Nick, I will say that. Probably worse than David Harbour Santa from Violent Night.
Really?
Yeah. Because at least there was like some Christmas spirit in there. And not that, this character, doesn't have any sort of Christmas spirit either, but he's definitely a lot more how do I say this? He's definitely a lot more cynical and dark and just grumpier than the one from Violent Night. But what's a bummer about it is that I actually enjoyed it. It was a really interesting story, but it seemed like they were going to finish the story, but Aftershock decided not to, because it was four issues, and the last issue ended with Santa saying that he was going to get revenge on the guy that, this other immortal that just killed like one of his elves. And he's like, now I got to learn, like, I got to figure out how to kill an immortal. And apparently that's it. That's the end of the series.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I don't know if like, and it says like, this is, when I bought it digitally. It says, you could buy the whole series, and the whole series is pretty much those 4 issues. So my guess is they just discontinued it,
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. So, but now it's a bummer, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it either. So what I'm going to start doing is actually reading. I started this and got to get back to it, but it's DC's latest Grifter Got Ran Over by a Reindeer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's their holiday
Poor
special
Grifter.
where they have a bunch of like one shots in there.
He gets no respect.
Grifter gets no respect ever.
And then I picked this one up, Star Wars Visions.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I really liked the show.
It was fun.
On Disney Plus. It was the first anime that was just like, okay, I can get behind it, because I never was a fan of anime, but when I watched that, I was like, this is really good. So I heard they did a comic on it, so I picked that up and decided to read it. And then I got to read Superman Son of Kal-El. Like the last few issues, I keep saying that I'm going to start it, and I have not started it yet. So I need to.
I haven't read a single issue of that run, so you're well ahead of me. I got nothing.
Yeah, I got all 18 of them now, so I got to just sit down and read through. I'll probably do it over the break. So
do you guys like holiday themed like comic books, like Christmas type comic books?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they're fun.
I'm starting to pick that up now that you've told me kind of what you're reading, but
Well, I made a whole list on League of Comic Geeks of holiday themed comic books.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So like, yeah, I haven't read all of them. There's some that I've read, and then there's some that people had suggested. But there's some really good ones out there. Like there's one that I think is hysterical. Well, really two, but one is from Marvel, and it's Deadpool gets hired to kill Santa.
God. I don't know if this was on your list, but I actually think that my birth was prophesized because they wrote one about me, and it was called Superman, the Man Who Hates Christmas. And it's about a man. That one. No. It's about a man by the name of, this is his actual name in the comic, Jasper Rasper. And he hates Christmas so much that he decides to start this diabolical plan where he travels to the North Pole and begs Santa Claus like cookies or something like that, right, just to make him fatter to the point where he can't go deliver presents. That was his plan. And Superman finds out that, oh yeah, Jasper Esper's going to sabotage Christmas. He's like, not on my watch. And he tracks him down and I was just like, God, this is me. This is a comic.
Oh, that's funny.
And Batman Noel, obviously.
Oh, that's a really good one. I just read that this year. I absolutely love it. It's a really good piece of work. Yeah, I love it. Well, I also asked people from Comic Watch as well as Twitter and from our Discord that we have what they're reading. So I'm going to read very quickly here because I know this is a very long episode already. But this is what they've been reading. So Miriam Herrera from Comic Watch said that she's reading My Hero Academia, which I have not read yet, but I've heard really great things about it. She says tears, like legit one breaking my heart, hyperventilating tears. So apparently it's very emotional, very powerful. Yeah. B Rats from Comic Watch said New Warriors from 1990. Hard Choices by, I'm going to butcher their name here, Nisiaza and Bagley. I have no idea if I pronounced that right or not. Probably not. Co-starring The Punisher with Bangle and the Forces of Nature as the antagonist. If people think today's comics are political, they should check out this book. This is chock full of it. It deals with fallout from the Vietnam War, gang violence, deforestation of the rainforest, extremist political activism, etc. So I'm going to have to check that out now. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, that sounds wild.
Yeah. And then Dustin Gable from Comic Watch as well said Marvel 2 and 1 from 2017, still the best Fantastic Four book of the last 5 years, with sharp writing from Zdarsky, which I didn't realize Zdarsky wrote a Fantastic Four book. So killer line work from Jim Chung and Valero Sheedy. Chung's Ben Grimm is a tragic figure full of emotional nuisance, and you can't help but feel the heartbreak in every bit of the penciling. Wow. Like that just sold me on that right there.
Yeah.
Then from our Discord channel, Ken from the ODPH podcast said they're currently reading The Black Ghost and Blood Oath by Alex Segura and on Comixology, and Rogue Sun by Ryan Parrott. And then the So Wizard podcast said that they're reading the Batman Spawn series. Have you all read any of this or have any interest in reading it?
No, I have an issue of Batman and Spawn from like the 90s, and I own it, but I've never actually read it.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out either. I haven't read a Spawn comic in 25 years.
I've never been a fan of Spawn. Like it just never interested me. So
I like the character, but I just never read it.
Interesting character, not interesting enough for me to like read a whole issue, which I know is kind of silly to say.
Yeah. The only interaction, or the only experience I've had with Spawn is from the movie that came out in the 90s,
Yeah.
And that was not hokey movie, but like if that was your first experience of Spawn, you're just like, what is this? So when they announced it, I personally wasn't interested in it, but I've heard a lot of people have been really liking it. So and then last but not least, on Twitter, eBunny061 said that they're currently finishing the Doubt manga series. Absolutely love it. Psychological horror, good story, and great art. So these are really good comics I'm going to have to put on my list to read. on the back end of all my to read piles and all that. So, no, but this is really good. I'm glad to hear what everyone's reading. And it sounds like there's some really great ones out there that are currently out, as well as some of the ones that's been around for a while as well, too. So, so that is it for this episode. Derek and Ian, thank you very much for coming on the show. Before I let you all go, do you want to share where people can find you and your work or your podcast online? Derek,
yeah.
go first. Yeah.
Yeah. Find Paperweight Entertainment on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can find links to all that at paperweightentertainment.com, as well as links to our merch store, written reviews, and a playlist of all of our audio and video episodes. So paperweightentertainment.com, you can get links to everything there.
The Horror You Know podcast, we have a merch store. If you go to where do you go? I don't think we have a website. So we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, I should say, and Audible as well. We're on all those. We have a Twitter account. I think you can find the link on our Twitter account as well. We have hats and shirts and mugs and all kinds of stuff like that, as we do for Paperweight as well. I don't know if Derek plugged that or not.
Yeah, we got a merch store.
Okay, it's there.
There you go.
It's there. Yeah, you got
it. Horror You Know podcast. Like I said, like, subscribe on everything. We're not on YouTube yet. We do have a TikTok page that we do where we do these. Trent actually made these puppets of us to where we react to everything with the puppets. He actually made hand puppets.
Oh, I got to watch this now.
Yeah,
they're pretty good.
And we do advertisement for the show and stuff through TikTok with the puppets and stuff. I I hosted a Jeepers Creepers episode, and I introduced the episode as my puppet, and it's just the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. So check that out immediately. And it's a little early, but every year now, the Ohio Theater in our town here, we're starting this horror festival, and we're going to be doing that again. We did one this year. It was a Friday, Saturday thing. We're doing it again next year. So try to get on Facebook, like us, and everything. We'll be doing updates on that as well. Like I said, I know it's really early, but we're looking for suggestions and stuff on that too. So,
all right, awesome. Well, thank you both very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man.
Hey, thanks for having
happy
us.
holiday as much as you can.
I feel like that was directed towards a certain individual in particular.
Not directed, but I want to be inclusive, though.
Okay. Love it.
Because not everybody, the holidays is not, great for everybody. So I just want to be inclusive as much as possible. So, well, thank you all.
Hey, thank you, man.
Thanks, man.
Having us.
And that wraps up another episode of The Capson Life. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You can follow us on social media at Capson Life. For more information about us and all of our previous episodes, visit thecapsonlife.com.